I want to thank you for that, because yeah, I would have been horribly embarrassed. But imagine if you had to be me and go home tonight and say, well, honey, I'd have been here a few minutes earlier, but we lost the goat. And then we had to take pictures of the flowers and the goats. You know, it's awesome. I am so honored to be, I see several familiar faces in here and legendary faces. I'm honored to be with you tonight. Barry asked me, I don't know, when did we start this dialogue? You, Virgo, you, what, June? Yeah, something like that. So the email string is quite lengthy, but I'll save you the gory details on that. My name is Joe Morris. I'm the project coordinator for Tennessee Eastman Hiking and Canoeing Club. I can't tell you actually when those duties started, to be honest, because particularly the last year has been quite blurry. But I joined the club in 2012. Up to that point, I had just been a casual hiker, did some long sections, did about 680 miles of the trail, and had experienced divorce, so I was looking for, as most people are that come to this beautiful corridor, was looking for a change of life, and boy did I find it. So, but I've been doing maintenance now since 2012, and I've got a few hours under my belt now, enough to know what it's all about. So, it's my honor to be here tonight to be able to speak about what's happened since Hurricane Helene hit on September 27th. If you have questions at the end of this should hopefully be brief, but there you go. If you have questions, I would love to answer those to the best of my ability with my sometimes limited knowledge base, because there's a lot of managing partners and affiliated agencies that are involved in this process. But let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this out of the rack, because I like to walk around. I will say, I've got a Facebook group, which is called Trail Maintainers, and a podcast. If you take your camera and take a picture of that QR code, that will lead you to that. It's got about 1,600 members up and down, mostly the eastern seaboard. But feel free to join that group. You can follow what we do. And let's get started. Helene recovery began officially on October 22nd, so some 3.5 weeks after the storm. We were able to get into the woods. Cherokee National Forest on the Tennessee side allowed us to start working that quickly. It took much longer from a Pisgah standpoint to get in there. Helene recovery started on October 22nd. It ended essentially on May 1st. Tennessee Eastman contributed 10,055 volunteer hours to basically just the initial punch through. SAWS, which is Southern Appalachian Wilderness Stewards, some of you may be familiar with them. They worked 1,689 hours to take care of the Big Laurel and also Pond Mountain. We cut, I don't know, this number, holy moly. We cut, we think, 2,425 trees, but there was just cascades of trees and limbs and everything else. So it really, as you'll see in some of the photos, it got ludicrous. I started measuring by tenth of a mile, which we did in the snow when we were lucky enough in the winter to get that far. Our club cleared more than 79 miles of EAT. We went from Spivey Gap, off of near Big Ball, north of Big Ball. We go from Spivey Gap up to the Tennessee-Virginia border. That's the area we're responsible for. So this photo is actually from just south of Whistling Gap. It's not far from Spivey. But this is very typical of what we saw when we first got out in the woods. I mean, number one, it was emotional, obviously, for obvious reasons. But it was daunting just to be faced with this kind of carnage, not knowing how in the world, where to even begin, because there was no way to prioritize where to start, to be honest. We started getting some reports. There was ArcGIS work that was done by the Forest Service to kind of take surveys. And from there, we sort of built lists of where to go first, prioritizing basically the SOBOs that we're trying to get through. So we did start near Virginia. But then we hit areas that people like to go, like in and around Rome or Beauty Spot or wherever it might be, some of our more popular areas. Same scenario here. I think this was, it's all a big blur, but I think this was on Squid Section, which is Bitter End, I want to say. Somewhere. It was either Bitter End or near Walnut Mountain Road.
That's what I'm thinking, south of Walnut Mountain Road.
Yeah, it probably was south of Walnut Mountain Road. And you see the blue outfits in there. That was typical. What we would do is we would take out gut hook, or what is it you call it?
Far hook.
Far hook, yeah.
That's what I call
far hook. We would take it out basically, and we would leapfrog each other 50 to 100 feet apart, and we would approximate our position on the trail and then cut towards each other until we had it punched, and then do the same thing over and over and over again.
I don't know, did everybody notice the blaze?
Yeah.
Where? Point to the blaze. Go back one.
Go back one.
Point to the blaze, to the bottom right corner.
I don't even see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, down there. Yeah, I do see it. So yeah, it was, I mean, it really was. It was daunting because you know, I'm not as nimble as I used to be. And none of us, quite frankly, are. But we literally would crawl up and over, in and around, just however we had to do it, to get far enough apart to where we could still hear each other's screams. And basically just cut at each other all day. In the wintertime, in particular in the snow, it was a lot more difficult, and our average day was about 1/10 of a mile per day. Early on, it was about 3/10 of a mile per day. Just depended on the severity. That is our saw coordinator on top of a root ball, and Randy Allen, some of you may know Randy, he's a shuttle driver, lost and found shuttle in Unicoi County. But Tony had to crawl up on top of the root ball because we had to relieve some weight in this particular situation. But the trail went right straight through where that bottom rhododendron is. Very typical. So one of the first things we did, actually, and I know Tim was involved heavily in this, was just going out to try to flag around areas. If it was just basically shut in and we couldn't do anything, we wanted the SOBOs to have a way to at least get through, because we knew we couldn't cut it fast enough to allow them to get through. Very typical, very common situation, going straight up the trail, just cutting your way through it. Welcome to January. Holy smokes. This is south of the former location of Cherry Gap Shelter, which was one of the hardest hit areas. I would say Walnut Mountain Road, Cherry Gap, help me. Those were the two worst.
Pond, top of pond.
Top of pond was really bad. They were all just cascades of trees. That's John Baudet. Many of you may know John. In the background is Brandon Church, our trail tech from the Forest Service. So what started happening is we were going out, many of us were going out daily. Very typical situation where you see the large tree that just basically just fell off the mountain, left this cavity, and there's no other way to go through it. Sometimes we'll fill it, we'll crib it. Sometimes we'll basically just go through it and then put an outlet for the water and try to figure out how to walk through it. This is it, essentially finished. So split the platform. If water does run into it, it's got a place to evac. I have no earthly idea. I've been asked, I don't know how many root ball cavities we fixed at this point. I lost count because it's been hundreds. What on earth is this? Oh, that was one of the things
I think
that I just really, we've suffered with. So this kind of shows you all the organic material. This is near Iron Mountain Gap.
Yeah.
So one of the early strategies, for some unknown reason, was to cut trees and then fill the root ball holes with basically just slash, just the trash, so that the southbounders would have something to walk on, okay? Knowing full well we'd have to go back in there and evac it later, which is what we've been doing. We've had to go back in and pull all that out by hand, and it's been an absolute nightmare to try to deal with all that stuff.
That was Joe on top getting ready to
Yeah,
cut.
I actually do work.
Yeah.
Squid loves to take videos of me doing nothing.
And I had a good one the other day too.
I'm not kidding. Nothing.
He threw dirt on one of our hikers that was
I'm
volunteering.
a horrible person,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. But he loves to wait. He'll wait. I've seen him. I've caught him. He'll wait until I'm doing nothing, and then he'll videotape me, and then he shows it at the maintainer's dinner. I love him. What a buddy. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go now. Let's fast forward just a little bit, because this is the meat and potatoes that everybody wants to know about. So, Lord, I don't even know when they started facilitating this thing, but they worked out a relocation, a reroute. Most of you, some of you all may know that. Hopefully all of you know it, but it went from off of Unaka Mountain, and it started there at Low Gap and worked its way out to the old AT via Forest Service 230D actually, and then drops onto 230, which is Red Fork or Unaka Mountain Road, where it goes out past the Red Fork Road area, crosses over Tennessee 107, which is a super busy highway, 2-lane, which is currently where they are harvesting a bunch of timber. Sounds like a prescription for disaster, doesn't it? That, bless God, nobody's been hurt or killed. Yes, sir?
I haven't been in this area, so I'm wondering where in the heck, which state is that?
Okay, all right, fair question. All right. So, if you go to Unicoi, Tennessee, do you know where that is?
Kinda.
Okay, exit 32 in Irwin, off I-26.
Okay, I know where Irwin is.
Okay. If you get off the interstate there and you take the 107 up towards Bowling, as we say at home, that's in North Carolina. That's on Highway 226. So this is at the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. I'm going to say 10 miles from the High Knob shelter at Roan Mountain. Does that help?
Yes. Which
Okay.
way is Ashland or, one of the...
Okay, so Asheville will be back this way towards the American flag. Johnson City, if you see up at the top of the picture where it says reroute north of State Route 107, Johnson City is almost due north of that.
Okay.
All right? So that's where we are. Great question. Thank you.
I just haven't been there, so.
Yeah. So Iron Mountain Gap would be mile marker 364.1. How's that?
That's good.
Okay, if that helps.
That's a lot.
I'm sorry? Okay. Yeah, Bookworm said Iron Mountain Gap is 20 miles north of the Nolichucky at Chestoa, where the bridge is out. So anyway, the Forest Service and ATC decided on this reroute, which used an old Forest Service roadbed and some convoluted notion of this particular route made sense, and signed an emergency NEPA, which meant that basically we did not perform one, and they put the reroute in, okay? It changed, probably added 2 miles to the AT, and Alpha Gal, I'll never forget, I've already mentioned this to him. I love the Randino episode when he gives an update and says, nope, I didn't like it. It's horrible. And when he did it, he was I think he was there the second day it was open. It had virtually no stairs, and we added 353 temporary stairs to it because we were told we could not disturb soil. That's a big deal. Soil disturbance is like the ultimate no-no. We did though. Shh, don't tell anybody. Because ultimately, it's our job as volunteers and people that love the trail to make it as safe as we possibly can for hikers. And that's what we tried to do. Unfortunately, here's the update on that. This reroute will be used again in the 26th season. That's unfortunate, but it will. We had hoped to avert that. It's just not going to happen. And the reason is, on the south side of that, if you go over here to Iron Mountain Gap, that's been logged all the way back in that first 0.8 of a mile. Now there's plenty of slash, which is basically just down timber, the waste products that are left. They're going to try to mitigate the fire hazard portion of that by cutting it up and burning it. That's going to take a day or two. Then they're going to start harvesting on the north side, which I have a slide that's going to show you what that looks like. The devastation there is more intense than it was on the south side, but it's a shorter linear distance. That should be completed, that cutting starts in January, and that should be completed by March. Yeah. Film at 11. Okay. Where's this going? Oh, shelters. This is great. So, Tennessee Eastman has lost, how many shelters we lost? Anybody know? 6? I don't know, it's ridiculous.
Including the barn would be, what, 5?
Yeah. This is Cherry Gap. Okay? Nobody was in there, thank goodness. We do have a shelter that 2 hikers were in the night of the storm. This will be dismantled. And probably, I don't know. I know it's not going to be built back in that particular location. It will be demoed and hauled out, which is great because I used to hit my forehead on it all the time. It's just too short, and I'm short, so crap. This is Moreland Gap. 2 hikers were inside Moreland Gap shelter when the storm hit. This is after we got all the trees off of it. And somebody had an idea, which has actually worked out, which is surprising because most of my ideas don't work. But I put underlayment on top of the tent and tarped it. And used, I won't even call it NASCAR 200-mile-an-hour tape, I'll just call it duct tape, which is actually what it is. And it's holding up. It's not leaking, thankfully. It is currently in use. And I don't know how much longer this goes. Mostly, yeah, be careful, this is staying here. Curly maple, I believe. Mountaineer Falls was built this way as well. They're basically built on the same footprint. But that's our plan to replace shelters. Again, the preliminary discussions, and they all have to be relocated. Like if Moreland Gap is replaced, it'll be moved away from the trail. If Cherry Gap is replaced, it will be moved away from the trail. This is a screenshot from one of Squid's videos of Elk River, which was really difficult to see. There were two significant experiences, one of which I'll share and try not to get emotional about. One of our first outings, we were actually out working, and law enforcement had cadaver dogs out looking for survivors or bodies. Wow, it was hard, you know? There were kids' toys in the river. There was stuffed animals that were just lying about. There was all these, and people had perished on this river. It was very difficult to be in that space. Surreal to be in that space. Never, just unbelievable. I think, that speaks for itself. But the water level had gotten 20 to 25 feet up into the trees above Elk River. Just unbelievable. The devastation that was in there. The pieces of housing and housing debris that was scattered about in that particular area. So, as you can see, the soil there is terrible because it's river silt. And there are many places where the trail is gonna fall into the river the next time it floods. I mean, it eat it out and chewed it to pieces, and there's no way that we can make a sustainable treadway to walk through, to continue to walk through there. If you were there this season and you saw it, you would go, holy smoke, don't get too close to that edge. Fair? So, we're gonna move it. And this is one area which I'm very, very thankful for. The Forest Service has been nothing short of amazing with their regard to supporting us in proposing this. So as you can see, the trail as it now exists is the red line. The green line is the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. This is out at Elk River. Many of you may have walked through that stile and strolled down that beautiful river edge, and it was pastoral. It was gorgeous at one time. No more. So we're going to move the trail back up into the rotos on the side slope, probably gaining about roughly, let's say, 60 feet of elevation, which you will see by the dotted purple line that's shown there. And we take almost just a straight contour line on the topo. There's an old roadbed back there that starts about, if you can imagine, about 1 o'clock from where it says Watauga. There's no roadbed back there, so it's going to be really quick to do this. And the NEPA for it, basically, I won't say it's being waived, but they've been very generous with regard to being open to getting this done. I think this will be done by next late spring or early summer. So it's something really to look forward to get that completely out of the river, because if it floods again, the trail's gone. And it's gone for 6/10 probably, with no way to fix it. You just kind of crawl through God awful for ways. I included this because this is what I spoke about earlier. This is the north side of Iron Mountain Gap. This used to be my section. I maintained it for several years and adopted it. This was the first place I had to go to look at, because this was home for me, you know? And I nursed this thing and loved it to death. And it did not love me back. The storm didn't. Tough to lay your eyes on that and realize it's got to be fixed. You can't just walk away from it. But there is an old Forest Service road through there that used to be the AT that runs parallel to this, so we can, if we're allowed, to get the hikers to through the south part of Iron Mountain Gap. We can take them up a Forest Service road, dump them out in the orchard, so we don't have to go, nope, didn't like it anymore. And they can just be on their way through Weedy Gap, onto Hughes Gap, and up the runs. This is going to be cut by a stealth crew, I think, and harvested to the degree that it can be. You got to remember, this wood has been laying on the ground for over a year. It's not really worth anything. As a matter of fact, the Forest Service is going to pay for this basically as a fire mitigation project. There won't really be any harvesting to speak of that takes place in this area. But this is what we face next. This is how I'm going to spend, how Squid and Bob and I are going to spend our winter vacation. Another QR code. The videos that you saw in this presentation were taken by that man right there, Tim Stewart.
Yay.
You can go to his YouTube site, which is chock full of videos from years ago where he's followed all the work projects, all the Connor Rock stuff, all the hardcores. It's really a great resource. It shows people exactly what we do. So if you're ever interested in maintenance or interested in bringing people to maintenance, it's a great place to visit because you can actually literally show them what it's all about. He's done a great job of doing that. If you want to send me an email, that's my email address. Join the Maintainers Podcast and Discussion page on Facebook. I did do 30 episodes of the Trail Maintainers Podcast and got to interview some really incredible people. And I thank you for your time and attention. Now, if anybody's got any specific questions, I will try to answer those. let's do this way. I feel like, what was that kid show? Kids say the craziest things, right? Do adults say the craziest things?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. There you go.
The trees up there, are they dispersed, are they all laying one direction from wind, or are they cattywampus?
Okay, he's got it, cattywampus. But here's, yes, everything, imagine, everything in Tennessee or North Carolina, you're going south or southeast a lot of times to go north, right? Everything that was south and southeasterly facing is obliterated. Literally just flattened. There was one day when I was south of Wallen Mountain Road, cut 6 hours, with the exception of when I literally purposefully jumped off of where I was, my feet never touched the ground. Because everything had fallen that, parallel to the trail and just had it sucked in. And it was like 4 and 5 layers deep. So you just had to start parsing it out in 4 to 6 foot segments, because some of this stuff was 30 inches in diameter. And you just kicked it out, right? Gravity took over at that point. That's a great question. There are areas, anything that's like shielded or down just a little bit that might be on the west or north, almost no damage whatsoever. We were talking about this earlier today. I figure in our 134 miles, somewhere around 75 to 80 of it was impacted in some way. And the rest of it is just, it's still in the same great condition. It needs to be weed-eated now, but the rest of it is in really good condition. Good question. Yes. All right. Hold on just a moment. What'd you do with your guitar?
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to play us a song?
Yeah, no, you don't want to hear that. All right, go.
He's an excellent guitarist.
So she took my word for that.
Are there still trees falling down below?
Yes.
From getting weakened?
Yes.
So,
Absolutely there are.
yeah.
There are many trees that are still leaning, still falling.
Stay here, I'm next.
Oh, next. All right, stay here.
Gotta take a
But
number.
to answer your question, in simple terms, yes. And that's what's been the most difficult part of it. Fortunately, we've had people like Marlene and others that have started participating in sending us emails or letting her know and giving her a picture. This is super important. A picture with scale, so you put a hiking or trekking pole in the picture, okay? So we know how big it is. Take far gut hook or whatever it is out.
GPS.
I'm kidding. Take a screenshot of that so you know exactly where you are. The standpoint of 353.4. So we know where to go in to get it. Because our saws, our gear, and everything else is in many cases 20 to 25 pounds. So you can look at me and tell I'm the best shape in the world, right? It's hard to carry that stuff that far. We've chased trees in some instances up to 30 miles trying to find them. So it's very helpful when you let us know where they are. God bless you so much. I'm serious, and you know it. Because she lets us know, and it's great. Next.
So I just finished a flip-flop through hike of the AT. So just 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, I walked through that area. And I was just thinking, the people who fixed this, I want to go out there and thank them. This was amazing. So much work, I've let it discuss it. So I'm glad to be here today. It's absolutely stunning. So thank you very much.
So I am going to respond to that, since he's about to cry, so I'm just pushing him over the edge. There's 2 reasons we did that.
You told me that in the little gap.
There's 2 reasons we did it. We all hiked. We're the same people. This community encompasses everybody in this room, right? So that's one reason why we did it, because we did it for you, because somebody did it for us, okay? It's plain and simple. It's that simple. It means that much to us because it meant that much to us too. The other reason we did it, and this is the hard part, people that we love and care about, that dude back there, he wears those dark glasses. I never know really what he's thinking, all right? They make a living from this path that we love. And they couldn't. They couldn't. They'd already lost everything that they had. And on top of that, they couldn't recover until we got out there and cut bloody through the mess. And that's why we did it. That's why we got out there in the snow. I didn't like it. The people that did it did not like it, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about getting it open because our friends and people that we love and care about were hurt. And I think I said this earlier today in the volunteer thing. If nothing else happened in all this, it tied us together, and hopefully will continue to tie us together forever in that respect, because we're responsible for each other. So, there you go. Now, open your hand to 248. I mean, it's a big deal. It means a lot to the people that do that. That's the only reason why they do it. Okay, now this could be a little dicey right here, because I've spent a couple hours with this thing, so this could be problematic.
Oh, he's going to stand up.
I understand. Now, I think it's been said, but really, thank you for whatever thing. I can say this as somebody that actually went northbound, or excuse me, southbound, through one of the storms. In '94, it looked like the trail went down, fell down. I mean, it was similar to that. And fortunately, I was in one of those shelters. The shelters do provide huge protection from storms like that.
Yes.
And if those two hikers were in a tent,
They've been killed.
is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes, they've been killed.
yeah,
There's
so
no question.
It definitely provides a huge service. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Thank you for saying it. Yes, thank
I mean, it is one thing that we are dealing with, grappling with, because it's going to take years to do it, and funds. I mean, yeah, it's just, that is how it is. Who's next? Okay. I like this. This is fun.
Okay, I'm a long-distance hiker,
Yep.
and I'm a self-proclaimed shelter rat.
Okay.
Because you were just saying that long-distance hikers don't use the shelters. But I know when it rains, we fit 21 of us in a 12 or an 8-person shelter.
It is fair.
Okay, yeah,
It's
so,
fair.
but, so that you can take that back to others and say, yeah, they would. Oh,
Yeah, if you winter hike, for sure. That's the only time that I would personally use them. I know, so I've done 680 miles, and enough to know kind of what it's about. Yeah, you'll go gather at the shelter that night, you'll visit and stuff like that, and you may go to your tent or your, whatever, however you choose to camp. And a lot of people do stay in them. I'm aware of that.
I used my hammock only 2 times, the rest of the shelter.
Yep. This is great information because we literally, we've been polling the people. We've got several through hikers. Twins won, we had Jim McGuire this year that through hike. We've got, I think, 5 or 6 maintainers that are also through hikers. So we're formulating, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What makes sense, right? Placement is a big deal as well. Some of the original placement of the shelters was inappropriate. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It was. The barn. Let's just go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. As much as we all love the barn, it was in the wrong bloody place. And it got abused horribly. And that was its demise. And it's unfortunate. It meant so much as a landmark to a lot of people, and we understood that. But it was also being abused by the general public. It wasn't necessarily the hiking community that was abusing it, but the general public was abusing it. It was a party spot. I remember camping there one time. There were 63 bloody tents there. There was a Boy Scout troop that put their tents in the upper loft before it got closed. It was crazy. It was just crazy. It got completely out of control. Unfortunately, it's one of those places in the woods that people love to death. It's just the way it is. Who's next? Anyone? Anyone? I love you, man. You know that, don't you? I know.
Oh, let's go.
I've covered
already enough trail, I guess, to make a comment to the trail maintainer, and I want to say thank you.
Actually did maintain the Sultry Trace with a handsaw, a hand pruner, and a machete. We covered 300 miles of trail up there, everything was focused to the west. And some of the stuff that I saw in your pictures, some of the stuff I saw.
Yeah.
And I can understand how tough it was to get into it.
Yep.
So congratulations to you guys, good job, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much for me to
That's a great point. So we have about 10 to 12 people that participate weekly. We have 21 certified sawyers, some fellers, but mostly just bees. We haven't even gotten to the secondary stuff yet. It's been that overwhelming. So good on you for what you've done. And people, that's another thing that we feel passionately about. We've got 55 miles of secondary trails too that we do. I don't know. But they're waterfall trails. They're trails that grandmas and grandpas use with their kids. You know, they're important. That's how connections are made and what turns you into this, whatever this is, right? But it's a beautiful thing and people love it and they love making that connection with their families. So we started doing that, I don't know. When did we start that, Bob? 19? Yeah. And we have places like Marguerite Falls, which gets 100,000 people every year hiking to it in my hometown of Greeneville, Tennessee. Seal Branch, just any popular places where people that don't really hike, they're flip-flop wearing nature seekers that actually just want to look at something beautiful with their kids or their families, where they go. And we haven't been able to do it. I mean, we literally haven't been there yet because of everything else that we're dealing with. Yes, sir. Hey, Bill.
Any time frame on the replacement of the bridge in Irwin?
No, I'm working for TDOT. Okay, well, I will tell you, I will start with this, okay? Bad news. The ATC is not going to fund the rafting cross for 26, okay? That means you got to road walk or take the shuttle, right? Terry's got to shuttle you around or whatever. Uh-oh.
It's not the first on the same road as Pisgah. I don't know if anybody remembers that when the bridge was built, between the time the old bridge was torn down and the bridge that's gone down was built, that is exactly the same road walk. It's not that bad.
It's not. It's improving every day because that heavy traffic that was in there from where the railroad was removing all the debris, I think they're gone. I think they're done. But the ATC is not going to fund the rafting thing. They shuttled, I think, over 1,000 people this year, slightly over 1,000 people, but they're not going to do it in the 26th season. And they're not doing it for the subos either right now. So, to answer your question, did I duck that well enough? No. It's my understanding that we're looking at least 18 months. Now, I haven't been back there. Does anybody know if they've even started it? A little bit. Okay, yeah. So they're starting the process of getting like the pylons started and all that stuff. They're 24 months out, and it's going to run $1 million. How many millions?
What I understood the last time I talked to them, is
Sorry.
is actually doing a really good piece on there that they're planning.
The Forest Service has promised a beautiful observation deck where the trail crosses there, because that bridge has been important to people for a very long time. But what I was saying about the walk around, it's kind of interesting that when I in the early years when I was very first involved with the trail, that was the walk around that we did, and it was no big deal. Because if you go just a little bit further, you go by the grocery stores and restaurants and the dollar store. That's what I did.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the sentiment. The issue, of course, was the heavy truck traffic. I think, and that's still the same situation on the 107 in Iron Mountain Gap, which is the sole reason for the reroute. Thankfully, nobody was hurt or killed in this season because of that, even though we went.
What we did?
Nope. I didn't like it.
Stairs?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not. There's 353 temporary stairs on it, which we installed in 3 trips. Oh, man. Anybody else? These are great questions.
The trail is open, whether it's a reload or a rebuild.
I can't answer that question, Bill. I officially can't answer that question. It's because the AT is a decommissioned corridor in that 4-mile stretch currently. It is not an official trail. The official trail is the reroute.
Well, that's what I mean.
Viability.
They can still walk through except for the river crossings. I mean, they walk around.
Yes, they can still walk around. But Iron Mountain Gap, even though I just told you earlier I plan to have the south side of it done by the end of October, is more a negotiating tool to say, okay, now the onus is on you, land managers and agency. We've done our part, you decide what the next steps are. Because, again, as we discussed earlier, get it done, give them the opportunity to make the decisions, because that's the hard part, quite frankly. There's a lot of forks in the pie. A lot of forks in the pie. There's going to be some pretty pictures, though, which none of us are going to be in, I don't think. You know, ribbons, cut, scissors, and all my friends. Sorry, I said, Squid warned me earlier. He said, don't become yourself when you do this. So, you know, here I am, being myself. I'll stop right there. Anyone else? Okay. Hallelujah. You're awesome.
I've been asking around to various people with long senses of history about the AT in general. The general consensus is this is the worst environmental disaster to ever hit the Appalachian Trail, without a doubt. And that counts the 1938 hurricane up north, which, because of World War II, was left as it was mostly in a lot of places for over 10 years because of World War II, and was still missing in places for Earl Shaver. So the fact that you guys have gotten the trail this far in a little over a year is one of the most miraculous things in the history of the Appalachian Trail.
Hey!
We've also had Sweat Crew came the last few weeks, and they've been unbelievable. If you know Tom Lamb from Georgia, and his son Murray is the crew leader of the Smokies Wilderness Elite AT crew. Hug his neck next time you see him. I mean, they've done awesome work for us. Some of the help we got, unfortunately, wasn't, everybody's helpful, but it's just, sometimes some things are better than others, and they've been miraculous. They've really helped that effort a lot. Another great point, invasives. We've got view sheds for days. If you like open views now, apparently we've got 100 miles of it, which is like the mowing season. I mean, God did us a real solid. He gave us cooler temperatures, sunshine, and just the perfect amount of rain this year. So we mowed about twice as much as we normally would. Holy snap, it's just one thing after another. But I'm hopeful that the ATC will pony up some of that resiliency fund money and get us some weed eating crews to help us in the coming years, because it's going to be to restore the canopy and restore the ecosystem, to your point, is going to take years to do, and they haven't even really started. There's a lot of discussion about impact studies and this and that and the other, and open area management. I don't know. It just goes beyond my pay grade, obviously. But there's briars that are going to burn it, and that's going to put more alkalinity in the soil, and here we go. We're just off and running. So
it's gonna be a problem going forward. All those areas being that open. It'll outlive what I do on the trail, there's no question. So that is one good source of your funds if you feel inclined to donate in that way, and you can donate individually to the clubs if you want to, or other organizations that are actually doing the recovery work. You know, if you need to talk about that personally, feel free to send me an email. It's jcmorris18@gmail.com.
It'll just be a different experience, because the shelter bridge in North Carolina, when Earl went through, it was in a field. When I went through in 2000, it was in a forest, so now it's just a little different.
Yeah, it is. It's a little different. Weeds are higher. There's no question. So you just gotta, if you know people that are out there hiking, some of you I know in here just finished your through hike. You know people that are going to be out there in the 26th season. Just tell them, here's what you face, and then be patient. You know, but also you can let us know. You don't have to be snarky about it, but you can say, I know, like New York was horrible, wasn't it? I mean, it really was, and I understand that, but we're literally doing the best we can. If you want to help us in any way that you can, whether it's monitoring situations or whatever, get in touch with me, go to the website, which is tehcc.org, or just email me directly. Wherever you live in the country, I'll send you to the right club, the right person, whatever it might be, because we all need help. And there's a job for everybody. I think we talked about that earlier this afternoon. It's not about gender, it's not about age, it's not about any of that stuff. There are different things that everybody in this room can do to actually help preserve the corridor. Just period. Anyone else? Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Wow, that was really inspirational, and as someone who lives in Indiana and depends on our trail maintainers for when I want to come down and hike, and having